Respect is earned, but certain habits can quietly destroy it without you even realizing. In this video, we'll uncover 10 awful habits that make people lose respect for you, and how Stoic philosophy can help you break free from them. Watch until the end, because the last habit might be the one secretly undermining your relationships the most. Number 1. Gossiping about others. Gossiping about others, it's one of those habits we might brush off as harmless, but in reality, it carries a heavy price. It might feel like a way to bond, to share some insider info, or just to fill the silence, but gossip is a double-edged sword. It cuts both ways. Not only does it hurt the person you're gossiping about, but it also chases away the respect others might have for you. First, let's be real, gossip is toxic. Sure, it might seem like a casual chat over a cup of coffee or a quick comment behind someone's back, but in truth, it's a form of betrayal. When you gossip, you're spreading negativity. You're talking about someone else's flaws, mistakes, or embarrassing moments, often exaggerating or twisting the truth in the process. Even if it's not deliberate, it doesn't take much for things to spiral. The more you engage in this kind of behavior, the more people begin to see you as someone who is willing to tear others down when they aren't around. Now, what's worse is that it doesn't stop at just the person you're gossiping about. The more you talk about others in this way, the more people start to wonder what you say about them when they're not around. And here's where it gets tricky. Once that seed of doubt is planted, it's hard to undo. People will start questioning your loyalty. They'll wonder if you're the type to gossip about them as well, and suddenly, you're the last person they'd trust with their personal life. In a way, gossiping about others makes you the villain in a story that no one wants to be a part of. Let's flip this for a second. Imagine, for a moment, that you choose not to gossip. Instead of joining in on the latest gossip, you decide to remain silent or change the topic. Not only does this make you more likable, but it also shows strength. It takes courage to step away from the drama and to resist the urge to indulge in petty conversation. You become a person who others can trust. A person who won't twist their words behind their backs. A person who respects the dignity of others, and that's something that will earn you respect in return. This is where Stoic philosophy kicks in. The Stoics were all about living virtuously, and part of that virtue was maintaining a high level of integrity. They understood that the more you engage in destructive habits like gossip, the more you lower your own character. They recognized that gossip wasn't just harmful to others, it was harmful to the soul of the person doing the gossiping. To maintain inner peace and respect, you need to live authentically, without resorting to undermining others for the sake of a temporary ego boost or cheap entertainment. When you gossip, you're essentially giving up control over your emotions. You're allowing negativity to dictate your conversations. And that's the opposite of self-control, which is central to Stoicism. A true Stoic doesn't need to talk badly about others to feel good about themselves. Instead, they focus on their own actions, their own growth, and their own mindset. They know that in the grand scheme of things, what others do or don't do doesn't diminish their own worth. So they don't need to gossip to feel superior. Finally, let's talk about the long-term impact. If you gossip enough, you begin to build a reputation. Not the kind of reputation you want. You'll become known as the person who can't be trusted, the one who always has something to say about others but rarely ever anything kind. Respect is earned over time, and once it's lost because of habits like gossiping, it's tough to regain. People remember how you made them feel, and they'll remember how you spoke about others. The words you use have weight, and they matter. Even if you don't mean to harm anyone, the act of gossiping sends a message about who you are. So, if you want to be the kind of person people genuinely respect, you need to let go of gossip. Choose silence when others start tearing someone down. Speak up when you see others being unfairly judged. Your actions, your words, and your integrity will speak volumes. In the end, it's not about what you say about others, It's about how you choose to live, how you choose to carry yourself, and how you treat people when they're not around. That's where true respect comes from. Number 2, acting arrogantly or boasting. Alright, let's dive into something that we've all come across at some point, acting arrogantly or boasting. It's one of those habits that seem harmless to the person doing it, but in reality, it can cause people to lose respect for you faster than you can say humble brag. There's something about it that just rubs people the wrong way, and it's no surprise. After all, no one really wants to hear about how amazing you think you are, day in and day out. We all know someone, or maybe we've been that person ourselves, who can't stop talking about their accomplishments, their successes, or their latest incredible experience. It gets exhausting. And here's the kicker, it doesn't make you look as great as you might think. Instead, it creates distance between you and others. So why is it such a big deal? Well, when you act arrogantly or boast, it's a sign that you're not really aware of how your behavior is affecting those around you. It's like you're sending a signal that you think you're better than everyone else. And let's be real, nobody likes feeling like they're inferior to someone else, even if that person is just trying to pump up their own ego. That's where Stoic philosophy can really help us understand what's going on beneath the surface. Stoicism teaches that humility is a virtue. It encourages us to live a life of quiet dignity, focusing on our actions rather than making a show of our achievements. The idea is that true strength comes from within. You don't need to constantly remind others of how strong, successful, or brilliant you are because your actions will speak for themselves. Stoics understand that if you're always parading your accomplishments in front of others, it's an indication that you're insecure. In fact, you're probably overcompensating for a lack of confidence. So, instead of winning respect, you actually end up pushing people away. When you boast, you're also engaging in a kind of mental shortcut. You're trying to get validation without putting in the actual effort to build relationships. It's easy to tell people how great you are, but real connection comes from showing people through your character and actions. Boasting is lazy. It's like trying to climb a ladder that's leaning against the wrong wall. It's not going to get you where you want to be. Now, let's think about it from the perspective of the person on the receiving end. How do you feel when someone is constantly bragging? It's a little uncomfortable, right? Maybe you start wondering if they're trying to prove something to you, or if they're genuinely that insecure. Either way, it creates a disconnect. The people who matter, those who truly respect you, don't need constant reminders of your greatness. They already see it in the way you live your life, the decisions you make, and how you treat others. And let's not forget how boasting can come across as inconsiderate. It's almost like you're expecting others to stop what they're doing and admire you. In reality, people are busy with their own lives, and most of the time, they're not paying attention to the things you think they are. So when you boast, it feels almost like you're trying to force them to share in your personal story. It takes the focus away from the group, from collaboration, and makes it all about you. In a way, it's a distraction. And no one respects someone who can't see beyond their own ego. The Stoic approach? It's about restraint. It's about acknowledging your achievements privately, not flaunting them to the world. When you do something impressive, it's enough to know that you've done it. You don't need others to affirm your worth. True self-worth comes from within, from knowing that you're doing the best you can in the face of life's challenges. So, the next time you're tempted to boast or act arrogantly, take a step back and ask yourself, is this really necessary? Do I need to tell everyone how great I am, or can I just let my actions do the talking? In the end, people respect those who are humble, those who don't need to remind others of their value. Instead, they let their presence, their actions, and their character speak volumes. It's the quiet strength, the unspoken confidence, that draws respect. And when you embrace that mindset, you'll notice that people will naturally be drawn to you, not because you told them how great you are, but because you let them see it for themselves. Number 3, Being unreliable or inconsistent. Being unreliable or inconsistent is one of those habits that can destroy relationships, whether they're personal, professional, or even casual. Imagine you're someone people turn to for support, guidance, or simply to get things done, but every time they rely on you, you're either late, unavailable, or don't follow through. What happens? Trust erodes. The bond weakens. People start to doubt you, and that's a dangerous place to be. The thing is, inconsistency isn't just about missing deadlines or forgetting commitments. It's about sending mixed signals to others, making them second-guess your reliability. Think about it. If you promise to show up at a certain time, but then show up late every time, what do people learn? They don't learn to expect you at 5 p.m. They learn to expect you to be unreliable. This can happen in any context. Whether it's a friend who says they'll hang out but always cancels, or a colleague who says they'll take care of something but drops the ball every single time, the result is the same: people stop depending on you. Inconsistency creates doubt, and doubt is one of the quickest ways to lose respect. People don't like to feel like they're gambling when they rely on someone. It's uncomfortable. You become that person who, despite all their good intentions, always leaves others questioning whether you'll actually follow through. And let's face it, when people can't rely on you, they're less likely to respect you. Now, let's talk about how this habit eats away at your credibility. In Stoic philosophy, consistency and reliability are crucial. Think of it like building a reputation. Every action you take either adds to or detracts from how people perceive you. When you show up as you say you will, time after time, you build trust. But the moment you start backing out, making excuses, or failing to show up when you said you would, your reputation starts to crumble. It's like trying to build a house on sand. It just can't stand the test of time. There's also a deeper layer to this inconsistency, something that affects your own self-respect. When you're constantly unreliable, you're not just letting others down. You're letting yourself down too. You start to see yourself as someone who can't be counted on, and that internal perception eats away at your confidence. You know you can do better, but your actions don't match your words. It's like living in a constant state of cognitive dissonance, where what you believe about yourself and how you act are at odds. And that's exhausting. So, you end up feeling worse about yourself, which only fuels the cycle of unreliability. From a Stoic standpoint, the goal is to be in control of your actions and your character. Being consistent is part of living a virtuous life, because it means you're someone others can trust, and that you can trust yourself. You're not tossing your commitments to the wind based on how you feel that day or what distractions come your way. You show up. You do the work. You follow through. And in doing so, you cultivate integrity, not just with others, but with yourself. So, what's the fix for this? How do you break the cycle of inconsistency? It starts with being honest about what you can commit to and what you can't. Don't overpromise. Be realistic. And when you do commit to something, give it your best shot. If you realize that you're about to miss a deadline or fail to meet an expectation, communicate early, apologize, and make up for it as best you can. Own your actions. This doesn't just show maturity, but it shows that you value the time and trust of others. Consistency isn't about being perfect. It's about being reliable, about showing up, keeping your word, and following through. People respect those who live by these principles. The more you build this into your daily life, the more people will start to rely on you, and eventually, your self-respect will be just as solid as your reputation. And that, my friend, is a foundation worth building. Number 4, avoiding eye contact during conversations. Avoiding eye contact during conversations, it's such a small thing, right? But it can have a huge impact on how people perceive you. It's easy to think that looking someone in the eye isn't that big of a deal. After all, Maybe you're just shy, or maybe you feel a little awkward in certain social situations. But here's the thing, when you avoid eye contact, it can signal so much more than just nerves. It can make you come across as untrustworthy, disengaged, or even disrespectful. And here's the kicker, it's a habit that's surprisingly easy to break once you understand its consequences. Let's start with the basics. Eye contact is one of the most powerful forms of nonverbal communication. It's a way to show that you're present, that you're listening, and that you care about what the other person is saying. When you avoid eye contact, it's almost like you're sending a message that you're not fully engaged. It can give the impression that you're either bored, distracted, or simply don't think the person you're talking to is worth your attention. And that's not something anyone enjoys feeling. Now, imagine being in a conversation where the other person won't look you in the eye. It's disorienting. It feels like you're not being heard. You might even start to feel like the person doesn't respect you enough to give you their full attention. And when that happens, the trust starts to fray. Trust is a fragile thing, and once it's damaged, it's hard to repair. It's the little things, like eye contact, that either build or erode that trust. From a Stoic perspective, eye contact plays a key role in living with integrity. Stoics believed in showing up fully in the present moment, giving your complete attention to the task at hand, and respecting others. If you're avoiding eye contact, you're not giving your full self to the conversation. You're holding something back. Stoicism teaches us to be honest, to be straightforward, and to be mindful of our actions. Avoiding eye contact undermines that. It's a subtle way of disengaging, of stepping back from the interaction instead of leaning into it with openness. Think about it this way, when you look someone in the eye, you're signaling that you're open, that you're willing to connect. It's a display of strength and confidence. On the flip side, avoiding eye contact often comes off as a sign of insecurity. It's like you're hiding something, even if you aren't. The other person might start to wonder, why aren't they looking at me? Are they lying? Are they uncomfortable? The doubts can build up quickly, and before you know it, the respect you could have earned slips away. But here's the interesting thing, eye contact doesn't just help with trust. It's also a way to show empathy. When you make eye contact with someone, it's easier to pick up on their emotions. Are they anxious? Excited? Upset? You can tell a lot from their eyes, and that makes you a better communicator. It helps you adjust your tone, your words, and even your body language to match the emotional current of the conversation. If you're constantly looking away, you miss all of that. You become disconnected from the flow of the conversation, and it can make the other person feel isolated or dismissed. It's also important to note that avoiding eye contact can create a feeling of power imbalance. When you look someone in the eye, you're putting yourself on equal footing with them. You're not looking down, you're not looking away, you're facing them, standing shoulder to shoulder in a way. But when you look away, it can make you appear subordinate or hesitant. It's almost like you're not willing to meet the other person at their level. That shift can affect the way people see you. They may start to view you as less authoritative, less confident, or even less worthy of respect. But, let's be honest, it's easy to fall into this habit. Maybe it's due to social anxiety, maybe it's just a lack of awareness. Either way, the good news is that it's something you can work on. The key is to practice. Start small, by making brief eye contact throughout your conversations. You don't need to stare someone down, that's equally uncomfortable. Just aim for natural, steady eye contact that shows you're engaged and present. Over time, it'll become second nature. When you choose to look someone in the eye, you're not just making them feel respected, you're also showing your self-respect. It's a simple, but powerful act of acknowledging your own worth and the worth of the person you're speaking to. And that's what makes eye contact one of the simplest yet most profound ways to build respect in your relationships. Avoiding it? That's a habit you'll want to leave behind. Number 5. displaying inconsistent body language. When it comes to how we communicate, most of us focus a lot on the words we say, right? But what about the silent language, the one we speak without even realizing? Our body language tells a story, often one we don't even intend to tell. And here's the thing, inconsistent body language can make people lose respect for you faster than you think. One minute you're acting confident, the next you're closed off or defensive. It's confusing, it's off-putting, and it can make people question your authenticity. Let's break this down a bit. Imagine you're in a conversation with someone, and they're telling you something important. They say all the right things, but their body says something else. Maybe their arms are crossed, their eyes are shifting, or they're fidgeting nervously. What happens? You start to doubt them, don't you? You can't put your finger on it, but you feel like something's off. It's as if their words and their actions aren't lining up, and that creates a disconnect. When your body language doesn't match your words, people start to feel like they can't trust you. And when trust is shaken, respect starts to fade. Stoic philosophy teaches us the importance of being congruent, of aligning our thoughts, words, and actions. When you say something, the way you carry yourself should reflect that. It's about authenticity and integrity. If you claim to be confident but your body is sending all sorts of mixed signals, like avoiding eye contact or slumping your shoulders, then you're not really being true to yourself. And that inconsistency can make others see you as unreliable, insecure, or even fake. Think about it, if your words and your body are saying different things, people are going to trust the body. We're all experts at reading nonverbal cues, even if we don't realize it. It's built into us. We notice when someone's posture is off, when they're leaning away from us, or when they avoid making direct eye contact. These are subtle signals, but they matter. A person might say they're excited to help or be part of something, but if their body is pulling away or they look tense, the message they're really sending is, "I'm not into this," or "I don't feel comfortable." Inconsistent body language also makes you harder to read. If you're constantly sending mixed signals, people won't know how to approach you. Are you open to conversation, or are you closed off? Are you confident, or are you second-guessing yourself? When you're unpredictable in your body language, it becomes exhausting for others to engage with you. They'll be too focused on trying to figure out what you're actually trying to say to really hear what you're saying. Now, let's talk about how this fits into the Stoic mindset. One of the central principles of Stoicism is controlling what's within your power, your thoughts, your reactions, your actions. Your body language falls under this umbrella. You can choose to align your actions with your words. You can choose to stand tall, make eye contact, and show that you're fully present in the moment. That consistency not only makes you more relatable, but it also projects confidence and integrity. It shows that you are grounded in who you are and that you are someone who can be trusted. But here's the catch, this doesn't mean you need to be perfect. You don't have to maintain the ideal posture all the time or constantly put on a show of confidence. Stoicism isn't about pretending to be something you're not. It's about being true to yourself. It's about managing your internal state so that it's reflected in your external behavior. If you're feeling insecure or uncertain, it's okay to acknowledge that. But don't let it drive your actions in a way that creates inconsistency. If you're nervous, acknowledge the nerves, but still stand tall, breathe deeply, and be present. Inconsistent body language doesn't just make you seem untrustworthy, it can also signal a lack of self-control. When your body is all over the place, it might make people question whether you can control your emotions, your reactions, or your decisions. In contrast, someone who can maintain steady, consistent body language even in challenging situations shows composure. That's powerful. That's someone who can handle stress, someone who can lead, someone who others are more likely to respect. So, what can you do? Start by becoming more aware of your body language. Pay attention to how you carry yourself in different situations. Are you standing tall? Are your arms open, or are they crossed? Are you making eye contact? These small things matter more than you think. When your words and actions align, you'll notice a shift, not only in how others respond to you, but also in how you feel about yourself. You'll begin to radiate confidence and authenticity. And that's the kind of person people respect. Number 6, showing up late frequently or not respecting others' time. Showing up late. It's one of those little habits that might seem like it doesn't matter much, but over time, it can build up and leave people feeling disrespected, frustrated, and even resentful. It's easy to think, oh, it's just a few minutes, but let's be real, every time you show up late, you're telling others that your time is more important than theirs. And no one likes that feeling. The thing about time is, it's the one resource we can't get back. We can make more money, gain new skills, buy new things. But time? Once it's gone, it's gone. So when you show up late, you're not just wasting someone else's time, you're disrespecting something that's irreplaceable to them. And that's a tough pill to swallow, especially when you're the one doing it over and over again. But here's the kicker, it's not just about being late. It's about the mindset behind it. It reflects a lack of consideration, a lack of awareness about how your actions impact those around you. When you keep showing up late, it can seem like you don't value others. It sends the message that you think your time is more precious, and theirs is expendable. And that's a quick way to lose respect, not just from friends or colleagues, but from anyone who values their own time. Stoicism teaches us that we should treat time with the utmost respect. We're reminded that time is fleeting, and the wise person is the one who uses it wisely. To be late, consistently, shows a lack of self-control and discipline. You might think it's no big deal to slip in 5 minutes after the agreed-upon time, but in reality, it's a sign of a deeper issue, one that undermines your character. Time management isn't just about organizing your calendar, it's a reflection of your personal values and priorities. Now, let's take it a step further. Have you ever noticed how showing up late doesn't just affect the person waiting for you? It can throw everything off. Meetings get pushed back, plans get changed, and the flow of the day gets disrupted. But even more than that, it adds unnecessary stress to the situation. People feel rushed, frazzled, and impatient. It creates tension, and not the good kind. Suddenly, the simple act of being late doesn't just become about you, it becomes about how it affects the group dynamic. And that's where things start to unravel. There's also something about consistency here. Once you've established a habit of being late, it becomes harder to break. It's like you've created a reputation for yourself that people start to expect. And guess what? Expectations don't work in your favor. People don't respect you because they know you'll show up late. And that lack of respect is a tough thing to shake off once it's set in. But what's the fix? How do you break free from this pattern? First off, it's about shifting your mindset. You need to start seeing time differently. It's not just about punching the clock or getting through a task, it's about honoring the people you're with, the commitments you've made, and the life you're trying to live. When you show up late, it's a reflection of a deeper disregard for the value of time itself. It also means owning your actions. If you know you're prone to being late, plan better. Set reminders, prep in advance, leave earlier than you think you need to. And if, for some reason, you are late, don't make excuses. Apologize sincerely. Acknowledge the impact it had. Show that you recognize your mistake and that you'll do better next time. People will appreciate that level of self-awareness and accountability. Ultimately, being on time isn't just about punctuality, it's about respecting the people around you. It's about building trust and showing that you value others, their time, and their efforts. When you make a habit of showing up when you say you will, you're telling the world that you're someone who can be relied upon. That, my friend, is the kind of person people respect, someone who understands that time is precious, not just for them, but for everyone. And in the grand scheme of things, that's the kind of habit that builds strong relationships, both personally and professionally. Number 7, talking excessively about your achievements or problems. Talking excessively about your achievements or problems, it's something we've all been guilty of at one point or another, right? We've all had those moments where we want to share how great we're doing or vent about everything that's going wrong. It can feel good in the moment, almost like you're unloading some heavy baggage, but if you're constantly bringing it up, it can have a major impact on how people see you. It's easy to slip into this habit without realizing how it can come across to others, but trust me, it's one that can quickly turn people off. First off, let's talk about achievements. We all have goals, we all strive for success. That's a given. But when we talk about our achievements non-stop, we risk crossing the line between sharing our pride and coming off as arrogant. There's a fine balance between letting people know about your accomplishments and turning every conversation into a self-congratulatory monologue. And if you're constantly bringing up your wins, big or small, it can start to feel like you're not really interested in what anyone else has to say. It's as if you're signaling that you believe your accomplishments are more important than theirs, or worse, that you're trying to measure up to them in some unspoken competition. Here's the thing, people generally don't respect others because of how much they talk about their successes. Respect isn't about constant boasting. It's about quiet confidence. Stoicism teaches us that true success isn't about outward recognition or validation, it's about inner growth and living according to our values. If you're constantly looking for external praise, you're missing the point. Stoics would say that we should be humble in our accomplishments and not need constant recognition to validate our worth. It's the quiet achievers, the ones who don't need to make a spectacle of their success, that earn genuine respect. Now, let's flip it. Talking excessively about your problems. This is the other side of the coin, and it can be just as draining. It's natural to have struggles, and sometimes we just need to vent. But if your every conversation revolves around how tough things are, how much you're suffering, or how much you've been wronged, people can start to feel like they're stuck in a never-ending cycle of negativity. It's exhausting, and after a while, people may begin to distance themselves because they feel like they're always stuck in the role of your emotional support. It's important to recognize that, while it's good to talk about your issues, overloading others with your problems can create a toxic atmosphere where no one wants to engage. From a Stoic perspective, constant venting or complaining is a sign that you're not in control of your emotions. Stoicism is all about mastering your inner state, finding peace no matter what's happening outside of you. When you talk excessively about your problems, you're essentially giving away your power. You're allowing external circumstances to dictate your mood, your conversations, and your life. Stoics would encourage you to take responsibility for your own feelings and to confront your challenges with resilience and composure. Instead of constantly talking about how hard things are, find ways to approach those problems with a sense of calm, detachment, and clarity. The key here is moderation. Nobody likes a bragger, but no one enjoys a perpetual complainer either. You don't have to keep your achievements or struggles hidden, but the constant need to talk about them often signals that you're looking for validation or sympathy. It's important to have a sense of balance and self-awareness. If your conversations always revolve around you, it can create an imbalance in relationships. People want to feel heard, too. If all you're doing is talking about yourself, your wins or your woes, it makes it harder for others to connect with you on a deeper level. Now, you might be thinking, but what if my problems are serious? What if I really need to talk about my achievements because I've worked hard for them? And that's fair. There's absolutely a time and place for sharing your triumphs and your struggles. But the key is to do it in a way that respects the people around you. Share your achievements when it's appropriate and with humility, not to overshadow others or make them feel inferior. And when you talk about your problems, remember that it's okay to be vulnerable, but don't let it become your only narrative. Find ways to take action, solve the issues, and move forward, rather than dwelling on them for too long. At the end of the day, respect is earned by being present for others, listening to their stories, and not constantly seeking attention or sympathy. Stoics believed in living with dignity, in not needing validation from the outside world. If you can master the art of talking less about your own achievements and problems and instead focus on listening, empathizing, and contributing to conversations in a meaningful way, you'll find that you not only earn respect but also build stronger, more genuine relationships. So, next time you feel the urge to talk about yourself too much, take a moment to step back. Ask yourself, what am I really hoping to get out of this conversation? Is it about connecting, or is it about seeking approval? The answer might just change the way you approach your interactions. Number 8. Ignoring or dismissing others' opinions or feelings. Let's talk about something that's all too common: ignoring or dismissing others' opinions or feelings. It's a habit that can sneak up on us, especially when we're wrapped up in our own thoughts, goals, or world. But the thing is, when you do this, it doesn't just hurt the other person. It slowly chips away at the respect people have for you, and it can even make you seem completely out of touch with reality. And this, my friend, is where Stoic philosophy can be a game changer. It teaches us the value of understanding, empathy, and temperance, especially when it comes to dealing with others. First off, think about the last time someone tried to share something personal with you, maybe something they cared about, and you weren't really listening. Maybe you nodded, said but deep down, your mind was elsewhere. Maybe you were thinking about something more important to you or just didn't see the value in their point of view. You brushed it off, didn't take it seriously. The person you were talking to probably noticed, didn't they? It's not just about what you say, it's about what you don't say, and what you don't show. And even if you didn't say a word, the message still got across loud and clear: I don't care about your feelings or your opinion. Now, I get it, sometimes we're all busy, overwhelmed, or just not in the mood to deal with someone's feelings. But here's the thing: dismissing someone's opinion or ignoring their emotions is, in many ways, a sign of arrogance. It's almost like saying, what I think is more important than what you feel or believe. And when you do that, you're essentially telling people they don't matter, or that their experiences are irrelevant. That's a pretty disrespectful message, don't you think? Stoicism, on the other hand, teaches us the opposite. It's all about understanding the perspectives of others, even when they're different from your own. Stoics believe that true wisdom comes from being open to other people's ideas and experiences. It's about recognizing that everyone's feelings are valid, even if you don't agree with them. In the Stoic world, empathy isn't a weakness, it's a strength. It's a reminder that we're all human, struggling in our own ways, and it's our duty to listen, to consider, and to try to understand, not dismiss. When you ignore or dismiss someone, it's a sign that you lack the self-awareness and emotional intelligence to connect with them. People can tell when you're not fully present. You might say the right things, I understand or I hear you, but if your body language or attitude says otherwise, it's a dead giveaway. People might start to wonder if you actually care about their thoughts, or if you're just pretending to. And over time, this disconnect can erode any sense of respect they had for you. If someone feels like you never truly listen, they're not going to trust you, they're not going to value you, and they might even start tuning you out completely. No one wants to feel invisible or unimportant, especially when they're sharing something that matters to them. Think about the emotional impact of dismissing someone. It doesn't just hurt their pride, it can leave them feeling invalidated and small. And that's something that lingers. Even if you don't see the harm in brushing off their opinions, to them, it can feel like you're telling them their voice doesn't matter. And that's not just disrespectful, it's damaging to the relationship. Trust gets broken, And once that's gone, it's incredibly hard to rebuild. On the flip side, when you show genuine interest in someone's opinion or feelings, even if you don't agree with them, you're building respect. You're saying, "I see you. I hear you. Your experience matters." And that's not just an act of kindness, it's a sign of emotional maturity. It shows that you're capable of putting your own ego aside long enough to engage with another person's perspective. And that's powerful. It might not always be easy, especially when you feel like your own views are stronger or more important, but making space for others to be heard is something that brings people together, not drives them apart. In the Stoic tradition, understanding others is a way to cultivate patience and tolerance. It's not just about agreeing with people all the time, it's about recognizing that everyone is walking their own path, struggling with their own challenges. And just because their feelings or opinions don't match yours doesn't make them less valuable. It makes them human, just like you. So, the next time you're in a conversation and someone's sharing something with you, take a moment. Slow down. Look them in the eye, listen fully, and give them the space they deserve. That simple act will make a world of difference in how they perceive you, and in how you relate to the world around you. Number 9. Neglecting self-discipline and personal growth. Neglecting self-discipline and personal growth is like planting seeds in a garden and then never bothering to water them. Sure, you've got potential, but without the effort to nurture it, you're just letting it wither away. This habit, though often overlooked, can be one of the most damaging when it comes to how people perceive you. When you don't take responsibility for your own growth or stick to any kind of self-discipline, it sends a clear message to those around you: I'm not serious. We all have dreams, aspirations, and the potential to be more than what we are right now. But here's the catch: potential doesn't mean a thing if you're not willing to put in the hard work. Self-discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It's about showing up for yourself even when it's tough, staying consistent when the motivation fades, and doing the things that push you forward, even when it's easier to sit back and do nothing. When you neglect self-discipline, you're essentially telling people that you lack control over your own life. It's easy to get distracted, to take the path of least resistance, but the truth is, no one respects someone who can't show up for themselves. Whether it's something small, like not following through on a commitment, or something bigger, like failing to improve your skills, the lack of personal discipline screams, I'm not serious about my future. And that lack of seriousness translates directly into a lack of respect from others. Why would anyone take you seriously if you don't even take yourself seriously? And personal growth, let's not forget that one. The Stoics teach us that the pursuit of self-improvement is one of the highest goals in life. It's not just about getting better at your job or looking better physically, it's about becoming a better version of yourself, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Neglecting personal growth isn't just stagnation, it's a quiet form of self-sabotage. You might be comfortable with where you are right now, but the world doesn't stand still, and neither should you. If you're not actively working on yourself, whether through learning, self-reflection, or challenging yourself in some way, then you're not just staying the same. You're falling behind. Personal growth means embracing discomfort. It's about choosing the difficult path of learning over the comfort of ignorance. It's about pushing yourself when everything in your body wants to give up. And this is where the power of self-discipline comes into play. Personal growth isn't just going to happen by accident. It requires daily effort, intentional action, and a commitment to evolving. If you're skipping out on that, people notice. It's hard to respect someone who's content to stay stagnant, someone who shows no desire to grow or improve. Why would anyone want to follow your lead if you're not even trying to improve your own life? The problem with neglecting self-discipline and growth is that it catches up with you. Eventually, people start to see you as someone who talks a good game but doesn't back it up. You might say all the right things, but if your actions don't align with your words, the respect people have for you starts to fade. And that's the kicker. In the end, it's the lack of integrity between what you say you'll do and what you actually do that erodes trust. If you can't even show up for your own self-improvement, how can anyone expect you to show up for them? But here's the thing, this isn't just about how others perceive you. It's about how you see yourself. The longer you neglect self-discipline and growth, the more you start to believe that this is all you're capable of. You stop believing in your own potential. And that's a dangerous place to be. The Stoics believed in the power of the mind, the ability to shape our reality through our choices. If you aren't actively improving yourself, you're not just letting others down, you're letting yourself down too. The fix? It's simple, but not easy. Start by holding yourself accountable. Break down your goals into manageable steps, and follow through on them even when you don't feel like it. Focus on building routines that push you toward growth. Seek discomfort, because growth never happens in your comfort zone. The process won't always be glamorous, but the results? They speak for themselves. When you develop the discipline to improve yourself consistently, you'll find that people will start to respect you, not just because of what you can do, but because of who you are becoming. And that's the most powerful form of respect you can earn. Number 10. Failing to keep your word. Failing to keep your word. This might sound like something small, almost insignificant. But, in reality, it's one of the most damaging things you can do, not just to others, but to yourself. When you say you're going to do something and you don't follow through, you're not just breaking promises to others. You're breaking trust. And once trust is broken, it's incredibly hard to repair. The worst part is that we often don't realize how much damage we're doing in the moment, until it's too late. Think about this, when you promise something, you're essentially making a contract. You're telling someone, I will do this for you, and you can rely on me. But when you don't keep your word, what message does that send? It tells the other person that you're unreliable, that they can't count on you. And here's the kicker. It doesn't matter if you had a good reason for not following through. The fact is, you failed. And people will remember that. They'll start to wonder, can I trust them with anything? And once that doubt creeps in, it lingers. It's hard to get back to a place of trust when you've let someone down. Now, from a Stoic perspective, this is a big deal. Stoicism is all about living with integrity, being true to your word, and acting in accordance with your values. The Stoics understood that the foundation of a well-lived life is not just about external success, it's about developing inner strength and character. When you fail to keep your word, you're undermining that inner strength. You're telling yourself, it's okay to let others down. But it's not. When you consistently fail to follow through, you're weakening your own character, and that's something that can have long-term consequences on your self-respect. It's easy to see how failing to keep your word can damage your relationships. People might stop trusting you, stop asking for your help, or even stop believing in your capabilities. But the truth is, it's even worse for you. Each time you break a promise, you weaken your own integrity. You start to chip away at your sense of self. And over time, this becomes a pattern. You might find yourself making excuses for why you didn't keep your word or justifying your actions. But deep down, you'll know that you're not the person you want to be. And that feeling eats away at your peace of mind. The Stoics would argue that the real tragedy here is that breaking your word not only harms your relationships with others, but it also harms your relationship with yourself. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most well-known Stoic philosophers, said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In other words, the best way to deal with the consequences of breaking your word is to not repeat the mistake. Don't just apologize, do better. Become someone who can be trusted, someone whose actions align with their words. One of the key tenets of Stoicism is the idea of personal responsibility. The Stoics believed that you should take full responsibility for your actions, and that includes keeping your word. It's not enough to say, "I meant well," or "I had a good reason for not following through." The Stoic approach is to own up to your mistakes, learn from them, and take the necessary steps to make sure it doesn't happen again. When you keep your word, you're taking responsibility for your actions and showing that you're someone who can be relied upon. That's a mark of character, and that's something people respect. At the end of the day, keeping your word is a reflection of who you are. It's not about making promises to look good or impress others. It's about being the kind of person who values honesty, integrity, and trust. The more you honor your commitments, the more you build your own self-respect. And that, in turn, helps you earn the respect of others. If you want to be someone people respect, if you want to build strong, lasting relationships, you need to make a habit of keeping your word. It might not always be easy, sometimes life gets in the way, and circumstances change. But that doesn't mean you should abandon your promises. Instead, find a way to make it right. Be upfront if you can't follow through and offer a solution. The act of owning up to your mistakes and correcting them shows maturity, responsibility, and strength, qualities that everyone respects. So, next time you make a promise, think carefully before you speak. Your word is your bond, and the way you honor that bond speaks volumes about the person you are. When you keep your word, you not only strengthen your relationships with others but also build the kind of character that you can be proud of. And in the end, that's the kind of respect that matters most. Respect starts with the habits you choose. If this video helped you spot and break the habits that hold you back, hit like, share it to inspire others, and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom. Let's build a life worthy of respect, together.